Well, I came here to present our paper. It's a paper by Ricardo Hausman, Carlo Pietrovelli, and myself called Place-Specific Determinants of Income Gaps. Basically, this is a paper that we wrote over a year of work in the state of Chiapas in Mexico. Chiapas is a very interesting place because it's not only Mexico's poorest place, but it's also the one growing the least. So it's a place that, in spite of all the policy attention and all the resources received since the Zapatista Revolution in 1994, 25 years down the road, they have great roads, they have airports, they have ports, they have better schooling, better coverage, higher quality of education, and yet the place continues to be poor. So we set out ourselves to try to find out why Chiapas is poor, and what we find is that place-specific determinants are important. The government of Mexico has invested a lot of money on individual factors, on education, on indigenous villages have received subventions and all that. And our conclusion is that there's something about the place that even though these individuals have the education, they don't have a productive ecosystem where they can bring their education and combine them with other skills that are in the place and be productive. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence that we have is that the Chiapanecos, when they migrate out of Chiapas into another Mexican state, they earn a salary that is identical than similar Mexicans that are also migrants within the Mexican state. So basically, this raises the hypothesis of our paper. The problem is not the Chiapanecos, the problem is Chiapas. There's nothing wrong with these individuals. There's something wrong about the place. And what we find is wrong is that all the policy efforts that have been made, none has been diverted to creating or bringing into Chiapas new business models and new industries that allow the Chiapanecos to be employed in a way that they can be productive and earn higher salaries. And this sort of poses a dilemma of chicken and egg. Like, what comes first? The firms do not come because there's not an ecosystem, and the ecosystem is not formed because there are not enough firms. And we do believe that whenever there's a chicken and egg problem of that nature in development, the government needs to intervene to get it started. And so we ended up proposing in the paper, given that place-specific factors are important, the complexity of the economy, it's what explains the differences in salaries, so we need to bring new models. So we recommended using a model Mexico has had for a number of years called ProMexico, which is an agency aimed at attracting investments to Mexico, creating a sort of Pro-Chiapas, which would be an agency in charge of bringing new models of business in Chiapas. And those new models of business don't have to come from international fairs or from Europe or from Korea. Chiapas is Mexico's poorest place, and it will stop being poor by learning to do the things that Mexico already knows how to do. So in that sense, our policy recommendation is going to the north and looking up for business that established themselves in Monterrey, in Sonora, in Laredo. And because these places have been very successful, the level of salaries came up, so this business have been losing market share to China in some markets. Well, find out what they are missing to relocate in Chiapas, and in that way get the chicken and egg dilemma solved so that the Chiapanecos can be employed in their own state and have the chance to have higher salaries without having to migrate out of Chiapas.